Hello there. If you're watching this video is going to focus on what I referred to as VEWAC, which is essentially how it's just an acronym to help you remember all of the steps that you need when you solve word problems. So this video will go over pages 10 and 11 in your salmon colored packet. Okay. So hopefully that's where you are, page 10. We're going to skip this warm-up up here and just go down to the bottom where it says VEWAC. So in order to better solve word problems, we have a strategy that helps us organize our thoughts and our work. So like I said, it's an acronym. So each letter stands for a different step. So the V stands for variable. And in parentheses, you're going to write let statement. Okay, and you'll know what that is in just a second. E is where you write the equation. W is when you show your work to solve the equation. A is the answer with a label, which is super important. And the C is the check. Okay? So these are all the steps that you need to do whenever you're solving a word problem. So basically, word problems are going to be 5 points. If you leave off one of these steps, then you can't get a total of 5 points. You get 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 or whatever. Okay? All right, so let's see what this means. Go ahead and flip to page 11. Okay? All right, so number 1 says, the youth group is going on a trip to an amusement park in another part of the state. The trip costs each member of the group $150, which includes $85 for the hotel and 2 one-day combination entrance and meal plan passes. Write an equation representing, this should say, the cost of the pass. This is actually a typo there, okay? So just change that for me. Okay, so the variable is where we just identify the variable. We've been doing this already, like, picking C for cost or M for months or D for dollars. Now you're just going to write it in this kind of more formal way. So we're going to say let P equal the cost of a pass, okay? Because that's what the question's asking. Write an equation representing the cost of the pass. That's what we're trying to find. So I use P for that. If you want to use C for that, you could, okay? But it's better to pick a variable that actually goes with what you're solving for. Now we need to write the equation. For some students, this can be very challenging, okay? So what I always tell kids is I think it's pretty easy to pick out the total. So if we start with the fact that it's going to cost each member $150, then we've taken that piece out and now we can worry about the rest. This $150 includes $85 for the hotel and 2 one-day combinations and meal plan passes. Those are those passes that we're talking about. It includes 2 of those, so we do 2P. So that's going to be your equation. Okay, now we're going to solve this equation just like we've been solving all 2-step equations. Step 1 is to get rid of the constant, which is the 85. Right now it's positive. So in order to move it, we're going to subtract 85 from both sides. So our 85s cancel out. We bring down 2P. 150 minus 85 is 65. And then we need to get rid of the coefficient. Right now, the P is being multiplied by 2. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. And that gives us P equals 32.5. So now our answer is each pass costs $32.50. Okay? So now we're going to do the check. Remember, the check is the same as always. We start by rewriting the original equation. The second step is in place of the variable, we put in what we found the variable to be. And we're going to use parentheses because it's being multiplied by the 2. And then we just use PEMDAS to clean this up. Okay, but if you want to just put that step right here in your calculator, you can do that. Okay. Just make sure that you get 150 equals 150 and it checks. So these are all the steps for VEWAC. We identified the variable, we wrote the equation, we showed work, we answered it with a label, and then we checked. Okay? So let's practice again. This is number 2. Charlotte receives a weekly allowance from her parents. She spent half, okay, half of this week's allowance at the movies, but earned an additional $4 for performing extra chores. If she didn't spend any additional money and finished the week with $12, here's the question: what is Charlotte's weekly allowance? Okay, so just like an ELA where you restate the question, that's the variable. What is Charlotte's weekly allowance? So I'm going to say let A equal Charlotte's weekly allowance. Okay, now I want you to go back, reread the problem, and see if you can write the equation, okay? And then pause the video and check and see if your equation's correct. Okay, so pause, try to write the equation, and then unpause. Okay, let's see how you did. So she received her allowance and then she spent half. So we take the allowance and we divide it by 2, okay? Or, FYI, you could do 1/2 times A if you wanted to, okay? But I'm going to keep it as A over 2. Then she earns an additional $4, so that's plus 4. And she finishes the week with 12. How'd it go? Okay, so now we're going to solve this. Again, it would be a great idea to pause your video, try to solve the equation, and then unpause and see how you did. Go ahead. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to move the constant first. The constant is positive 4, so the opposite would be subtracting 4 from both sides. So we get A over 2 equals 8. Then because the A is being divided by 2, we're going to do the opposite, which is to multiply both sides by 2. The 2's are going to go to 1A, which is what we want, and then we get equals 16. So then our answer is Charlotte receives $16 each week for her allowance. Okay, now we're going to do the check. So we rewrite the original equation. In place of A, we're going to put 16. And then, like I said before, you could plug all that in your calculator if you wanted, but 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 8 plus 4 is 12, and it checks. Okay, so again, all 5 steps of VEWAC. Here's our variable, the equation, our work, our answer with a label, and our check. Okay, so now that you have this filled in, your homework is to try page 12. So there are 3 of these word problems. You're going to try to do a full VEWAC for all 3. If you need help, definitely email us. Or, Mrs. Kastik's Zoom is at 12:30 every day, so you can jump on Zoom with her too. That works. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.